The schedule obviously for the Moose still hasn't come out. Are you still in what you consider like a training camp mode, or are you thinking of it now almost like a regular season but without games?
We're still in training camp. We're still teaching the routes, the systems. We're still evaluating. We always do, but we're trying to find combinations of defensemen and combinations of forwards that can work. We've been working on special teams as well, but we're still in. Our mindset is still training camp, getting closer to a regular season game.
You know, Coach, how much value is there for a young player like Cole Perfetti to get that chance to go up? Obviously, he's on the taxi squad, not on the roster, but to go up and practice with the Jets and to come back to you. I mean, obviously, he wasn't with you for very long, but just what can that do for a player, a young player like him, who normally wouldn't even have that opportunity? What can that do for him?
Well, it helps him evaluate where he is in his development. So you go against guys like Mark Scheifele or Blake Wheeler, and you're trying to beat Neil Pionk on a one-on-one. You go in the corner against Andrew Kopp or Adam Lowry. It tells you a little bit where you are in your development and what needs to be done in the future. So it's that you can explain to the forwards or the players that are coming to us what it's going to look like. But unless they experience it like he's doing right now, it's really hard to get a grasp on the kind of conditioning those players are in and the speed and the strength. So that those lessons every day that he stays with us, he's learning a lot, just learning the systems, learning the language, the attention to details that we have. It's you can talk about it, but for him to experience it physically and to be amongst those guys, these are valuable lessons.
We'll go next to Jacob Stoller. Go ahead, Jake.
Hey, Pascal. I know when we've talked, you said that ideally you guys would have Cole and juniors and whatnot, but since he's been there in the AHL, has he looked that out of place? From what you said, doesn't seem so. And what is the biggest progression you've seen in his game since coming to training camp?
Well, no, he's got the smarts and he's got the reads. He learns really quick. So we have video sessions every day, and you can tell he understands what needs to be done. And if he makes some mistakes, he can correct it right away. It's just, I think his brain, and he's physically, mentally very mature. It's just he's 18 years old. He's 19, but he's playing as an 18 years old. So just the physical side of it. But those smart guys, they find a way to position themselves in the battles or to win battles. It's going to be different than a bigger guy, but the end result has to be the same. And it's going to be a matter of time before he gets physically stronger. But the main part at this point is to evaluate his brain and how he reads and his ability to not only read, but how fast can you read and execute right away. So he doesn't look out of place at all.
Further to that, Pascal, if the plan is to evaluate how he reads the game and whatnot, would you say it's fair to say you guys will really, once games get going, test him and put him in situations where he'll be challenged?
Well, we're going to play 4 lines. I think once the schedule comes out, we're going to see that there's a lot of games in very few days. So we're going to play blocks of games where we play back-to-backs and 4 and 5 and that kind of scenario. So we're going to have to play everyone. So he's going to be put on the ice. We certainly want to see him on the power play because I think that's a guy that can be productive, and that's his thing. You saw it at the World Juniors, a half-wall guy. He can make some plays. He's got good reads. He can make hard passes. That's the one thing that impressed me the most, and it's more technical, but his passing abilities are really good, and it's hard and flat on the tape. So that's pretty good for a young player. But we're going to play 4 lines, so he'll have chances, and he's going to be provided with opportunities to play some games for sure.
We'll go next to Austin Siragusa. Go ahead, Austin.
Hey, Coach. You mentioned it a little earlier, but just with the short amount of time and the large amount of games that could potentially be coming here, Is fatigue a factor at all, or fatigue a worry for you and the coaching staff at all? Most, a couple of these guys are from college, would normally play, 2-3 games a week, but now getting thrown into a scenario where it might be, 3, 4, maybe even 5 games a week. Does fatigue concern you at all?
Not really. I think we're going to be, we have different ways to evaluate the fatigue, and we speak to our players. We have people on our staff that are evaluating where they're at, and we speak to them every day. So I think we're going to be able to manage their workload properly. And one way is most likely it's going to be to stay away from the rink on the morning of game days. So going away from the morning skates, I think that's one area that we can save some energy and make sure we're ready when the game starts. Practices were a bit longer, and now they're getting shorter and shorter. And once the season starts, practices won't be very long. It will be a 40, 45 minutes, making sure we stay sharp. There's going to be video sessions, but physically it's going to be demanding. There's no doubt. But it's going to be the same for all teams. And that's how it is. Even if you look at the NHL, the schedule they're going through, especially in March, the Jets are going to be really busy. And that's a schedule we don't generally see in a regular season normally. But this year it's different. And then it's gonna help us evaluate our players and how they react when it's a little bit harder. But I think we're going to try. Actually, we're not going to try, but we're going to be able to manage the workload and maybe not practicing as long and staying away from the morning skates.
We'll finish with a follow-up from Jacob Stoller. Go ahead, Jake.
Thanks. Just one more, Pascal. I talked to Dave Durkin, GM of Saginaw, where Cole plays, and he talked about how through his years in junior hockey, he's seen a really big transition for guys that go up on ATOs and come back down, learning how to be a pro and whatnot. Compared to the plethora of people you've had in that predicament, how do you think Cole stacks up, and how has he adjusted to playing amongst pros?
Oh, it's a process, and it takes time just to get ready to. Just for example, a practice at the pro level. There's a process. There's a warm up. There's a proper way to do it, and how you get ready for a pro practice. It takes time, and it takes consistency, and you need to find out about how your body reacts and how you're going to be productive on the ice and have full energy when practice starts. So it's just a matter of time. We know he's a smart kid, and he's going to be self-evaluating himself. We're going to help him through this, but it takes time. And some guys understand quicker than others. Some guys, they never do, quite frankly, and that sometimes keep players away from playing in the NHL because they just don't understand exactly what needs to be done. They don't have a solid routine, game days and practice days. But that's something that's part of our job. Help him understand what needs to be done before practice. So when we start our practices, he's ready to go. And the same thing on game days. What's your routine on game day? What do you do? So, and evaluate. If you felt good, you felt energetic, you had energy for the full game or the full practice. Okay, so evaluate what you've done and repeat that. If you don't, then we're gonna try to tweak a few things. So it's a matter of time. It's just I don't know him much so far. It's just been a few weeks, but what I'm seeing is I have no reason not to trust that he's going to progress and develop quite fast.